Vale, todos juntos. Se chistes como lo por un... Claro, es como desde luego que eso
Price is what you get, value is what you pay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to represent Universidad Nacional Autónoma de México. My name is Fernanda. Let me introduce the members of my team: Brian Garcia, Gabriela Gachud, Rodrigo Almaraz, and Naum Velázquez. We initiate CEMEX coverage with a price of 8.14 USD as of January 17, 2018, and a 12-month target price of 11.02, with an upside range of 35%. Therefore, our recommendation is a buy. CEMEX has accomplished an outstanding improvement in its financial statement based on the strict execution of its corporate strategy. CEMEX is a global building materials company with presence in more than 50 countries to America, Europe, Middle East, and Asia. CEMEX produces and distributes and sells products which the company segments in three core business lines: cement, ready-mix concrete, and aggregate. CEMEX obtains more than 75% of its revenue and EBITDA from Mexico, the United States, and Europe. Through an analysis, we based our recommendation in three key points: the optimization of its assets and divestment of the strategic ones, the improvement in the leverage of the company, and also the management of pricing. In a few minutes, the members of my team will lead you through the main points of our analysis.
Thanks, Fernanda. Okay, macroeconomic. The industry has shown a global average growth of 3.4%, and the contribution of this industry was 6.5% in the recent years. According to the demand drivers, Mexico expects 3% growth in 2018, basically by a political transition that can accelerate consumption, and for US, the growth expectation is 2.8%, basically by the infrastructure plan by Donald Trump. For Europe, the expected growth is 1.2%, basically by the benefits of resident sector. Industry characteristics. CEMEX face competition for a few players in the industry. Additionally, for suppliers, the most important variables are natural resources and energy. For customers, the most important fact was the location of the plants, and for substitute products, there are no existing ones that can replace the existing. For industry expectation, the World Bank industry expects a growth of 3.4% for the next years. For the World Bank Group, the expectation is 2.5% for the 2018.
Now we talk about the competitors. Under the expectation of the strengthening and construction industry by 2.8%, and considering Latin America, North America, and Europe as the regions where CEMEX has a competitive positions, CEMEX continue with the leadership in Latin America with 42%, and in Mexico with 89%, sharing revenue over the market, which will be driven by growth on the International Monetary Fund forecast of GDP from 1.7% in 2017 to 1.9% in 2019, according to the expectation in Mexico. In Latin America and in North America and Europe, the results reflects a leaderships in 2017 for Lafarge Holcim and Heidelberg. However, Cemex increased the volume of sales by 2% in the last quarter of 2017 in the United States as a consequence of a persistent impact in the hurricane in Florida, and 22.6% in Europe, and as an increase in domestic volumes. Cemex has an effort for increase the participation of those markets and additional implementation of Cemex code. Finally, Cemex is making an effort to reduce the proportion of debt of ratio of 3, and the competitors Heidelberg, that is the most important in the world.
Thank you, Gaby. Part of Cemex financial strategy consists in reducing its capital investments, principally by divesting the assets that do not comply with the productivity standards required by the company. This divestment of assets contributes in generating a greater cash flow to the company, which in turn is used to reduce their debt. As of December 2017, Cemex capital structure consists of a ratio of 46% debt over equity, coming from a 60.1% on 2015 and a 58.2% on 2016. On the past years, Cemex revenue has decreased year over year. However, they have become more efficient in the management of their costs and expenses. Their cost of sales has marginally decreased in relation to their sales, from a 70.2% on 2013 to a 65.7% on 2017. Also, they have managed to reduce their inventories by 15% recently, which has resulted in a greater rotation of inventories and to increase their operational efficiency of their cement kilns to 89%. Also, due to the reduction in their accounts receivable and the increase in their accounts payable days, they have improved their operational cycle from 90 days on 2012 to 83 days now on 2017. As for the main risks, we see that they are mainly related to their sales and debt. However, it is important to remark that Cemex is a highly cyclical debt, which means that their performance can be severely affected by an economical downturn. This economical downturn can represent a loss in market efficiency, and panic bubbles and increase in their business may emerge. As for their interest rate, we see that 28% of Cemex debt is represented at a variable rate, which is exposed to increase and represent a financial expense. So far, on December 2017, the Federal Reserve of the United States increased its rate by 25 basis points, and an increase on the reference rate is expected for 2018, 2019, and 2020. Finally, Cemex has reduced their leverage significantly over the past few years, coming from a 6.6 debt over EBITDA on 2013 to a 4 on 2017. This has represented that they're on a better credit rating, both nationally and internationally, from a B plus to a double B for the global scale, and from a triple B to a A minus for the national scale. Cemex has reduced their debt by 25% on the last 3 years, which has increased their metrics and significantly de-risked their balance sheet.
Continuing with the analysis, for doing the evaluation, we use discounted cash flow model with the following assumptions. The forecast period was taken until year 2023, since we consider that by that year, the company will reach their target of 3 times debt on EBITDA. We forecast sales to grow steadily for the next years in a compound annual growth rate of 2.74%. EBITDA margins will fluctuate according to our assumptions between 14.35% and 15.03%. And talking about net profit, it will increase constantly from 2.82% to 6.63%. Even though we have assumed that they are working with non-cash, as they want to get the 3 times debt on EBITDA, so they have to continue with the efficiency with operation and management. The weighted average cost of capital we assume was 8.03%, having a cost of equity of 9.41%, 6.16% after taxes. To compute the cost of equity, we use a risk-free rate of 2.45% and an equity risk premium of 6.65%. And for the cost of debt, we use the assumptions we made for the financial expenses for the year 2018. Finally, we evaluate the enterprise of CEMEX as we consider it is a company in the mature growth stage. So we had the perpetual rate of 2.63% and a WACC of 8.02%. And we made a sensitivity analysis for optimistic and pessimistic scenarios, having the pessimistic with a price of $8.39 per ADR and an optimistic of $14.80 per ADR. Well, finally, as we said, we have our current price now, by the day we made the analysis at 8.14%, and we estimate a growth of 35%, reaching the target of $11.02. Thank you.
Thanks.
Congratulations for your presentations. I have two questions. One of these you presented on slides. You show us something about the infrastructure reform in the United States. So could you mention something more about the potential impact of this reform in CEMEX in the future? And my second question is, what about the fiscal reform in the United States? Do you think that this could affect the company in the future?
Well, for the infrastructure plan for US, they estimate that Donald Trump will spend 1.5 trillion for the next year, so that can improve the sales of CEMEX for the next 12 months. That's why we consider that it's a great scenario for the valuation and will increase the market share of CEMEX in the US.
And you include some of this possibility in your valuation, or you didn't include?
Yeah, in fact, we made a Monte Carlo simulation with some assumptions. This was for the cost of equity and the WACC. We have some assumption, and we have a certainty of 85.5% of having a cost of equity of 9.1% or more, and a WACC of 8.02% or more, with a certainty of 71.150%. And as well, we made a simulation considering the lowest rate, the lowest price we had at this time, that is $7.37, and there's a certainty of almost 95% of going on with an upper price.
Well, sorry, it's just that we didn't answer your question about the tax rate in America. We have to consider first that CEMEX, even though it operates on different countries, it consolidates here in Mexico. So if the taxes lowers on the United States, it wouldn't affect them as much. What it could affect them is if they should consider to reallocate to America, so that they have an improved tax rate over there, rather than consolidate here in Mexico.
Given the sensitivity of energy prices and the backwardation in the future curve of oil prices, would your analysis change if you use the forward price of oil rather than the spot price? And if you have considered that in your analysis? And second question is, given your answer about the infrastructure plan and the tax reform, wouldn't you have to use, rather than one stage DCF, two or multiple stage DCF in order to have a more accurate price, a discounted price? And third question, in the multiple and relative value, when you compare with the largest companies in the world, shouldn't you consider as peers Latin American companies in a proportion, and then the international peers in order to have a multiple relative valuation?
Okay. The first question, the energy. Well, CEMEX mitigates that risk, the volatility of the price of energy, based on the use of other energies, and also, for example, CEMEX uses 94% of its waste. They recycle it and reuse it, so CEMEX mitigates that risk with that part. And also with CEMEX Ventures, CEMEX is innovating in other energies, so that's the way CEMEX mitigates that risk. And about the multiples? Well, about the multiples, this is the companies we use to make this valuation, but we consider that the most efficient way to make the valuation about CEMEX was the DCF, because this way we demonstrate the solid structure of the financial statements of the company and the improvement it may have. The valuation about the multiples reflects the uncertainty and the nervousness in the market that we have during these few days. So we think that the DCF valuation really reflects the intrinsic value of the company.
Using two stages model for DCF given. Using the two-stage dividend model or DCF model instead of one stage. So growth for, say, next 2 years, and then another growth, and then perpetuity. Have you considered that?
Yes, in fact, the compound annual growth rate that we gave that 2.74% is an average of the growth that we expected for the free cash flow. It varies from 3.05% until 2.63%. That is the perpetual growth we estimate for the valuation. We don't have the complete valuation, the complete sheet, but we made that way.
Well, I mean, I think you have a very bullish view regarding the price target. So my question would be, what are the drivers that will make sales grow at the pace that you're thinking? And also, what would be the largest risk that you may turn back, say 6 months, a year from now, and say, I was wrong, this was not a buy at 35, but a hold or a sell?
Well, for the first question, we consider it a positive relationship between the production of CEMEX and the change of the percentage change of the share of CEMEX. So we did a linear regression, and in addition, our projection we consider the management of pricing of the company by type of product. And finally, the sales, in comparable terms, grow 3% as a consequence of an increment of price in the United States, higher volumes in the USA and Europe.
For the risk, we consider that definitely the bigger risk that they face right now is the economical cycle and the market. Since the debt that it's at risk, it's minimal, it's about 28%, and they cover their type of rate, the currency exchange rate with the derivatives in dollars from 1 to 2 years.
And considering this sales level that you are projecting and EBITDA levels you are projecting, does this come from the pricing power that the company has, especially in markets where more dominant, like Mexico, or it comes because you are really expecting higher volumes around the world, or both?
Well, CEMEX has a management in pricing with a strategy value before volume. So in each area, operate, each of the corporate management decides the price that if it's possible to increase depending on the demand. So that's why in each part of where CEMEX operate, they implement this strategy, and it also makes the company may have the opportunity to increase the price where the company can do it.
No.